Hi, everyone. Welcome to this really special webinar. Everyone is welcome, and we're really excited to have you on board. We're going to be together for the next hour to talk about how to build an impactful international employee engagement program. So we're really excited to be talking with you, and for this, I have the pleasure of joining with me Sébastien Baranger, who will be presenting himself. He is VP Global ESG for CGI, and Yves Carbonel, who is a Global Head of Engagement at Generali. Everything will be in English and everything will be recorded, so do not worry if you're missing out, if you've got colleagues missing out. Yes, as we're saying, do not hesitate to introduce yourself in the chat. Just to give you a little bit of a context, this event and this webinar is taking place because we've got something called the Komeet week this week. So we have about 10 events in France live where at the office in Paris, but also online where everyone can join. And the idea is really to talk about what kind of company do we want to be in 2026? How can we help the nonprofits? What's the future of engagement? And that's why this program is throughout the week. And this is what we're focusing on today is really the international side of the program and how to build a really successful and powerful engagement program throughout the world. I'm Margot and I work for Komeet. I'm a customer success manager and I'm specialized in onboarding and following international clients all around the world. And I'm half French, half English, which is why I've got a British accent. Just to start with, maybe we'll just have a few seconds or a few minutes, just Sébastien and Yves, to present yourself. And what I'd like is so who you are, what you do, and what causes or what themes are close to your heart in terms of engagement. Sébastien, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So, hello everyone. Very happy to be with you, and thank you, Margot, for the invitation. Nice to meet you virtually, Eve. So, I'm based in Montreal, Canada. CGI is a global Canadian company in IT and business management services. And personally, I am deeply involved in arts and education, and I'm very interested in the I would say, social impact of the arts.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sébastien. Yves?
So, I mean, that's an immediate international move. So, hello, Sébastien. So, I'm Yves. I'm based in Brussels. So, and as you said, I'm leading also the engagement for the Human Safety Net, which is the foundation of Generali. Personally, I am highly engaged since I'm 20 years on the education or of children. Children has always been my focus. I mean, from Scott, from all the diversity of way to build a future for our child in the future. So that's something I was always connected to before doing what I'm doing right now.
Brilliant. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into that. Brilliant. Sébastien, if I can give you the leads, just to introduce a bit your engagement program at CGI, how it started, when it started, what was the context in which it started. That would be really interesting if you could tell us more about that.
Sure. So our engagement platform tool, we name it CGI for Good. And this started actually at the very beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. So in 2020 in France. At that time, our team in France, we are the first Canadian company in France. We have more than 12,000 people working in France for CGI. And at that time, because of the pandemic and the economical situation, we had many people, between projects. So instead of having people, a bit lonely or without any actions, professional actions, we said, okay, let's have something where we could suggest social initiatives where our CGI partners could help with their skills and also with their presence in many communities. So in France, we are in 20 cities, big cities, Paris, but also very smaller communities. And in these different business units, people have the opportunity to, find local initiatives where they could help organization associations. And by 1 year, we had a great success, very great impact in those communities. So we look at it at the global level here in Montreal at the head office, and we said, okay, that's very interesting. That's something maybe we could, develop and implement globally. So over a year or two, we decided to develop and to propose CGI for Good to all the CGI partners everywhere in the world. We are in 400 locations. So we took 1 year or 2 years to implement CGI for Good every year, everywhere. Sorry, and today this is a platform available for any CGI partner where they are in North America, in India, in Europe. So this is our global platform for social impact.
Brilliant. So what you're saying, Sebastian, is you started quite small in one country, you tested it, you saw how it worked. Once it was a success, thanks to or thank due to the COVID, you said, okay, let's go global, and then reached out and it went everywhere, and you started working in many countries, in all the countries, and with many non-profits.
Exactly.
Um, Yves, generally, for Generali, it's a different story because it started very differently. Maybe you could tell us a bit more?
Yeah, the story of the human safety net, it's already in the name. The human safety net. That's already a big difference. So basically, generally, like in, I guess, in most of the international company, generally where is present is 50 country, and every country they had their own CSR activity. That was mainly driven by marketeers, communicators. I would say with the main objective: build a positive image, credibility. Um, but let's call it as a marketing tool, let's be honest. And this is where in 2016, suddenly the question came, and what if we would really create something big, bringing all the strengths of a company under one story, one flag, the same everywhere, which would not be anymore to build a credibility and to think about us, but to only be built to reach impact. That was a big game changer, and I must say we had no clue how to do that because this is not the way we were used to do. So it took us like 2 years to reflect. Are we willing to do that? Are we ready to do that? How far are we willing to go? And the started was by writing a couple of principles which would probably guide us at an extreme, and to make sure we would only be driven by reaching impact. So the first things we did is that, okay, generally will not be mentioned in the name of what we're going to do, and that's why we are called the human safety net. So it's not for generally, it's for the people. We always said that that if we want to be true, also we should not keep that story just for us. So we created that immediately as what we call an open movement, an open net. So anybody, and today more than 100 companies joined that movement also today. So we didn't want to keep it for us and to be true. So impact is really at the center. So how did we start? We defined two projects, one on the refugee to really help them to become financially independent once they are accepted in a country by starting their business or finding a job through NGOs. And another program, which is the broader one on vulnerable family with little children under 6, to try to help them to start in the right way their life, to build basically their future. And these two programs, as you hear immediately, has been built also in a way that there is no connection with our core business. So the name is not in the name of the program of Generali. There is no connection with our core business to make sure that all of the energy will be to focus on the impact of the people. We will talk, I guess, more later about what did it change. But what I can tell you is that that made a game changer for us.
Brilliant. Thanks, Eve. Yeah, if you have any questions, please ask them in the chat, and then we'll be able to answer them once we finish. And at the end, we'll really have a time of 15 minutes of question and answer. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions. Brilliant. So thank you for how it started, why it started, how long it took as well, and it's very interesting to see that it can start different ways, different years. And what I can hear from both of you is that it takes time and we can't be rushed. And it can take time, it can take years for you to build this program. And my second question and my second topic that I would like to talk about, and Eva will be turning to you again, is how this movement, as you call it, or how it became a yearly pattern. How did you have recurrencies or traditions, and how it became cool, the place to be? How how has it become embedded in the culture of the company? And how did you make yearly traditions or yearly events? And what I would really like you to share as well is you've got something very specific regarding ambassadors, and I think that would be really interesting for other people to hear about how you started this global network of ambassadors.
Wow, many questions in one. Okay, let me try to let me reconnect to what I said just before. I said everything has been built around one word: impact. Impact is when you reach really a victory, when you succeed to transform people's life. For us, that was the first time we were really doing that, because when you change all the time or every year, so the consistency of what you do is essential to do that. As I said at the beginning, once we have chosen these two programs, we don't change anymore. And the fact to have created that, because we talk about international engagement here, and the international gives you an opportunity and a power. At the moment you connect, you glue all the energy of the group under one flag. That makes a big difference. That means people everywhere, in every country, talk the same, because they reach and they act under the same mission, for the refugee or for the vulnerable family in our case. So when we started, we thought if we want to grow it, we cannot do the traditional way, which is a top-down approach. We had to reverse it. So we started as a movement, like you mentioned, Margot, as a bottom-up. And our idea was, this will only work long-term if the people who are pushing it, the people who are making it happen, are the employee, and that they feel it is true, that we do it for a good reason, which is for the social impact and not for the company, not for the credibility, not for the brand image. So that's why you hear me a lot talking about impact, but that's really the core. These, what we call the victory. And to build such a movement, we created a kind of a pyramid of sub-communities who receive literally the key of this movement on a yearly basis. And you mentioned the ambassador, you're right. We created, I call that an army of ambassadors. I mean, there are nearly 700 now spread in the country. And it is a one-year engagement, which they do on top of their job. Again, to make it difficult is something which is very interesting, because what we were doing before, we were proposing people to participate in some activity, but that was part of their working hours. When it is, what we realize is that when it's too much part of, you make it so easy, it's part of your working hours, but I mean, sometimes you don't go there for the good reason. When you say, well, are you really willing to help people? And to do that on top of your job, if somebody raises his hand or her hand, you know it's for a good reason. They will go the extra miles. These ambassadors indeed are the backbone, and they form a global community that we nurture. In fact, I'm just out of a call preparing this annual moment of recruitment of this new group of ambassadors for next year. It's a one-year engagement. They come, and during 1 year, in their business unit, they really lead the program. They make it, the victory, visible everywhere inside the company. They promote the volunteering activity. They take initiative. They make fundraising activity. They initiate everything to grow the movement in the country with a single objective: increase the number of people we help. That's all they do. And for that, they receive the freedom inside the organization. So maybe we'll talk about that later. But once you create a movement which is driven by the people, that means there is no, to be clear, head of CSR in every country leading the movement. The movement is led by volunteers. And we put like some guide to avoid it goes too much on the right or on the left. But by giving this freedom and this will to act for more impact, this is where suddenly you create an endless energy that you cannot stop anymore.
Hmm.
And then I will come later to the result of that, of how basically these subgroup of ambassador, but also all the volunteer, because they feel that this is their movement and not the movement of their company, they go beyond the limit.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, it's super encouraging to see. And as we were preparing this webinar together, you were saying you have too many ambassadors knocking at the
Correct.
door, and you have to say no to some people. So that's showing that year after year for yearly engagement, that's something that works. Sébastien, at CGI, do you have a network of ambassadors? How does it work in terms of, is it top down? Is it bottom up? What are the themes and the causes that are interesting and that are interested for employees per country? Is it one global cause? How does it work in for your company and for your engagement program?
Yeah, so I would say it's a mix of top-down and decentralized. We are a very decentralized company with that, as I said, 400 locations around the world and 94,000 people. So what we said at the beginning is that we are going to integrate this social and community impact priority in the global strategic priority we have for the company. So this is part of all our process, all our reporting, data collection, etc. we are data driven company with a lot of processes, etc. And we actually sell that to our clients as well. So we put that everything related to community work in the same processes and data collection, etc., as financial KPIs, for instance. And I'm in part of the finance team actually. So the idea was to say, okay, what we are going to do for our communities, we will do it with the same level of engagement and reviews, etc., etc., than what we do for clients or for investors, for instance. So that was the number one step. And then we said, with that framework, we are going to leave you in each country, each business unit, we are going to leave you do what you need to do for your community. You know your local community, you know their needs, you know how to work with them. So do what you have to do. We support you with the platform and with all the processes and also all the communications, but you will do what you have to do. So it means, in the US, for instance, they do more community work with schools, with underprivileged population. In Northern Europe, in Sweden, for instance, they do more on environmental projects. So it's really to make sure we still align with the local needs and with the cultural realities in each country. So with that, we found a way to have great engagement from our CGI partners. Today, we have around 25% of CGI partners globally doing social impact initiatives. So that's, I think, a great number. We fix also targets we set targets, sorry, to make sure we progress on that. So next year, the target is to have 28% of our CGI partners doing projects in their community. And next year, we also set a new target to have projects in conjunction with the CGI clients. So we really want to make sure we, embark our clients in this movement.
Brilliant. And so, who leads in each? As Eve was saying, for him, it's really ambassadors who are leading in their countries, and that's their role. How does it work for CGI? Who leads locally
Yeah,
in terms of CGI partners?
again, it's very decentralized, and I would say some geography are more mature than other. In France, for instance, I know that we, as you said, Eve, we have ambassadors in each business unit. So we have around 20-25 ambassadors in France. In other geography, it's more centralized, and we have one ESG/CSR leader for the country, and he or she is the point of contact for community projects. So it really depends. And we really want to make sure we are close to the local realities and the
Mm.
local way of doing community projects.
Yeah, that's really interesting. What you're saying is that you're really very attentive and very curious and very close to the local needs and the local engagements, and just everything is tailored according to the country and according to the team. When we were preparing this call, you were saying Sweden was saying, well, we don't need, I mean, we're paying taxes. We don't need to get involved in schools. So that's why we're doing more environmental programs. So yeah, exactly. You're really tailoring, and that's what's really interesting according to each country and really specifically. And I guess what you're really also saying is that you're always ready to change or ready to adapt as well. Is that right?
Exactly. And we have I think it's three pillars on the platform for the initiative. So one is for environmental projects, the other one is for people related, so I would say on DNI and inclusion, and the other one is really on community project on the ground. But we make sure this is broad enough for each
Mm.
geography to find ways to be more involved in one or on two areas of action. As you said, when we launched the project, our sorry, our colleagues in Sweden, they said we won't be involved in educational programs because we already have the state and to do that stuff, but we want to be involved in environmental projects, or we want to brought some of our internal engagement projects we have into the platform. So they do their environmental week in April, and they put that content on CGI for Good, so on the platform for their colleagues to be involved.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you very much. Now, what I would like to talk about is how do you communicate? And I think your two companies have a very different way of communicating. Eve, you were saying, Generali does not appear in the name, it's the human safety net. Sebastian, you're saying CGI for good, so the name is really in the program. Eve, could you tell us more about what you mean when you say that the human safety net is a movement? What do you have in mind, and what does it mean?
Well, if it's about what is a movement is really, if you think about it, the movement in the society where we live are the most powerful way to make people move. You think about Me Too, Black Lives Matter, you can name them. It takes 1 second, and you have immediately millions of people on the street, literally. And you don't make a business case to tell them what to do, and how to reach something which seems maybe a bit vague, but clear enough to make you move. This is a movement. This is exactly the approach we wanted to do, because we thought if we approach, which we were doing before, in a corporate way, by saying this is what we want to do, this is the KPI, and which are most of the time internal KPI. There we said, well, we want to transform life. That was on these two programs for the refugee. That was very clear what we wanted to reach. But from there, it was simply we go in by activating all that energy. So then we started to use all the rules of a movement. How does a movement work? Well, it doesn't use emails. You are on WhatsApp. Obviously, I mean, normally on a company, you don't communicate by WhatsApp. Well, it's probably the right way to do it then, because either I do business or I do social impact, but we created another word. When I say another word, if you look on the human safety net, it's really the color, the shape, the design has been very, very warm, so that you feel good when you go there, and you do not feel that you are still acting within the company. You really feel that it's my choice at one point in time, for a few hours or more, I go in another world, which is my choice, where I know the only purpose is this impact. And for that, I have some freedom. You mentioned the loose control. It's something we really activated a lot, which is very frightening for a company, because we like to control everything. Obviously, we measure a lot, but we give really freedom to all the volunteers to say, well, within there, take your freedom. And you realize that by giving freedom, suddenly people are much more creative, much more innovative, and feel that they can really contribute their own way. By making a movement also, you need to make sure that you can embrace not 20, not 30, not 50% but you need 100%. Not by forcing them, simply by proposing to everybody a way to feel part of that movement. So we created a wide variety of volunteering, which some we call the direct volunteering, in direct connection with the NGO or the beneficiary. But not everybody is willing to do that. So if you only do that, which and like skilled volunteering and so on, you block often a big part of your employee to be part of it. But they want to be part of it in a way. We are all human. So we had to invent and create what we call a lot of indirect volunteering, supported the same NGO, but differently. Something which is easy to understand, basically by creating mega fundraising initiative from the volunteers. And you can do that by being sponsored yourself and raise money because you announce you're gonna, I don't know, climb a mountain, make a marathon, and you get sponsored, and your money is used to support the activity of the NGO, where some other of your colleagues are maybe actors there as skilled volunteers. So you feel I can be part of the movement. So to create a kind of atmosphere and a framework where you multiply the role, the opportunities, where everybody can find his own way and level of engagement. This is really how you build it really as a movement. And I will end maybe with the power of the community, because the thematic here is really about engagement of an international company.
Mm-hmm.
We talk, and this is at least the choice we took. If we are an international company, that means we are global. If we are global, one of our question is, how do we make use of that? Because we can say we do different everywhere, but then probably that's what we thought. We are losing the power of the globality, which is why we took the one story global. And people at the Human Safety Net, the foundation, they often say the human safety net never sleep. And it is so true, because when we all do the same in different time zone, there is always something happening for the same people, the refugee or the vulnerable family in a different country. So even if somewhere for a few days, weeks, nothing is happening in your country, you keep hearing from another country that the impact of the global movement keeps growing. So it gives really also this energy to say, but they continue to do something, we're going to do it. And last but not least, by when you sum all that together, because we all do the same, that's the only way you can really add, because you do the same. And to go home, to say to your partner, to your friend, you know what, I'm part of the human safety net, and I did that. But the human safety net is helping 1 million people. It's a different story than if I go home and I say, even if it's equally important, it's just a sense, this is how humans think. I go and, okay, we help 25 people, even if it's equally important, but suddenly the 25 are part of 1 million and not remains. So it's how also we learned to value this globality by daring to do the same everywhere, but acting locally.
Brilliant. And communicating throughout different ways and through original ways as well. As you were saying, maybe WhatsApp or maybe being part of a movement. Sebastien, how does it work in terms of communication, in terms of sharing testimonies, sharing stories, happy best practices? How does it work in so many countries and in so many different areas and time zones?
Yeah, so I think it's very interesting, Eve, what you just shared. We have a different approach. I would say, again, we decided to be very decentralized. We have decentralized communications related to our community engagement. I would say we maybe communicate globally once a year when we do our global reporting, and then we share, stories and yes, highlight from different geographies. We did one global communication at the very beginning when we launched the platform, and we are going to do global communications next year for the 50th anniversary of the company. But in terms of communication, it's really, as I said, decentralized. It's based on each geography. What we, I would say, maybe do globally, it's two different things. The first one is doing global donation campaign when we have, a specific or tragic event in a geography where we have operations. We did that a few times. So we, launch a global communication, and then we, invite people to do donation globally, and then the company match the donation, for instance. The other one is really, putting a focus on what we could do as, as professional, based on the example of, Médecins Sans Frontières or Engineers Without Borders. We do that, based on our skills and our local presence as well. We say, okay, you are IT or technology professionals, you can, support kids, or you can support people who are willing to have a career in this field, or people who are, there is a gap in digital knowledge, so you can maybe help people. We did that with the a refugees camp in Germany, for instance, to help people, who come in these camps to have access to digital tools, etc. So that's the kind of stuff we do globally, and that's what we share also in our global stories. We do a lot internally. We have, a network of ESG leaders, and I lead that network. So monthly we share our best practice, we share what we could do, what we did in different geographies. So that's the kind of platform where we can, learn from each other, and we can also, think about, okay, next step, how we could increase the impact of what we do with this tool, CGI for Good.
And so that's on a monthly basis. You all meet, and
Yeah.
you. How long does it like? How long do you have to discuss these best practices or share the different stories?
Yeah, so we have the network of ESG leads. It's around 12 people. We meet every month. Then we share what, our progress, our targets, and our strategy. It's, on the environmental pillar, social, and also governance topics. So we do that monthly. We also have another group. It's the community leads group, and my colleague Asia is leading this group. So there you have more people. It's really people doing community work in each business unit or strategic business unit. So maybe you have 30 or 40 people in this group, and they really share best practice, progress. All together, they think about the strategy, how we should set new targets, and then, we share that with the ESG executive committee we have, and then with the CEO of the company. So it's really, from the ground, we get ideas, and we propose strategy to the top of the company.
Brilliant. Great, really inspiring. And in the last, brilliant, thank you for that. And in the last minutes, so we've seen how it started, how you're communicating, how you're getting everyone involved, all stakeholders. So employees, CEO levels, leads, ambassadors. So we're seeing that everyone's getting really involved throughout the years and throughout the year at different moments. And to finish with, I would like to ask you if you could share your best practices with everyone around the table. So, kind of something that worked. Eve, when we started this webinar, you said, what if? What if, not to go too much on the right, not to go too much on the left, but kind of let's see what we can try and build and see where it takes us. So, I'd like to share, if you could share your best practices, but also if you could share your learnings. Maybe you tried something and it didn't work, and it's okay, and that's how we fall back and then fall forward, and how we kind of get the teaching done. That would be really interesting as well for everyone, I think. Eve, would you like to start?
Okay. But let me go on maybe on both sides. The
Yeah.
first is indeed the biggest learning is probably don't do what you would do if it would be a business initiative. Because first, it would be a business initiative, and two, people will see it, and probably you will go at the speed of a business initiative, which doesn't go fast enough. And people need that. Because when it's about people engagement, people are willing to give, but they want to see fast. That generate impact. If it's long, I mean, then I don't do it anymore. If it's heavy, process, control, too heavy for me. I give already my time, my energy, and so on. So what I've learned, and you rightly said, Margot, is just know the direction you want to go. Then you go by little step, but fast. A movement needs speed. Speed is every day something is happening. Capture, put it. Good idea, take it. You know it's not perfect. Let it go. Blow up. Small victory. Blow it up like if you save the world. Then people say, wow, we did that. So blow up everything you do. People need to be proud. Because otherwise, we are, as a company, often you say, well, we help 10 people. What I say, one people is the world. And this is essential. People need to feel that. So, yes, the way I have approached that, and I would still do it, and then I will come to something where probably we had to change. But the first is really be bold, dream, take risk. So again, all you don't do as a business, and go and take the people with you. The opposite of that is that I tried myself. You talk about engaging the people. Then let's take the example of human resource. Then you go to human resource and say, we're going to do volunteering and so on. And then the first question comes, yeah, but Eve, so you take hours. So this is a budget. So there is a cost. I say, oh my God, we're not going to talk about cost. What are we talking about here? And then you start and you debate. And once you debate, you have no impact. You don't progress. You lose time. So at the beginning and sometime, I was willing to try to solve everything, to have all the door open for what I wanted to do. And then if I could open the door, it was too small. Not enough to build a movement and to have the freedom of the energy. So what I've done afterwards, I say, okay, I understand. Simply let me go in a way. I'm not going to disturb you. I don't try to change the rule. No time too long. So then I jungle inside the organization and I measure everything up to the moment that I go back and that HR saw that step by step, when the people were doing more and more, Suddenly, they measured through an engagement survey, typically inside an organization, and they saw that all the employees who were engaged in the volunteering had 10% more level of engagement and performance inside the company. What happened? Head of HR came to me and I said, Yves, can we do more? So that's changed. Instead of me fighting to get, it's basically do in a way. You don't disturb, you measure, you go, and then they ask you to do more. So that's probably what I've learned to do, and I'm doing that on all aspects of progressing.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thanks, Eve, for sharing. Sebastian, would you like to share your
Yeah.
best tips, your best practices, your best stories, your best moves?
Yeah. So
Your-
maybe, yeah, in terms of lessons learn, I would
yeah,
say two things. First, as you said, if I think we quickly understood that we have to be flexible, we have to react fast, and to be reactive. So that's why I think we said, okay, let's keep that movement local. Let's be decentralized and let everyone, close to their communities. And secondly, because we wanted to, have a long-term impact and long-term program and to be sustainable, we said we really need to integrate this community priority in our company priorities, in our strategic priorities. So make sure this is part of all, strategic planning process, all the reviews and the KPIs, etc., and make it visible to our executives. So that's the other part. Internally, we make sure we make that visible, we set targets, we review the progress as we do for other KPIs. So I would say that the two ways we found to make sure we implement the program and we keep it in the long term.
brilliant. Great. Thank you very much. So we've just arrived at the end of our talk. Thank you again to both of you for taking the time and the energy to tell us about your program, your engagement program, and how you made it an impactful international program, not just in your countries, but all around the world. So that's really exciting. I hope everyone listening is as excited as I am and pumped up. We've got a few minutes before we close to ask any questions. So the floor is yours. So please ask any questions in the chat. We have one first question from Aurelia, which I will be reading, and don't hesitate if you've got other questions. And Gloria put an emoji clap, so I think say well done. So Aurelia asked, still the movement is a part of the company itself. So how does Eve create the sense of a new world to make people really want to be part of it?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, Aurelia. And in fact, there is one element of that word of engagement that we have created is that it is not part of the company. So it can seem or maybe a bit strange what I'm saying now. But in fact, one of the principles when we create it is that for us, it was clear that if we would create all that beautiful world, and you are right, that then we would say, but it's for us. How can you be credible? Your employees are not stupid. The color of a wall of a nice logo will not make people come. They need one thing: to trust, to believe that what you want and what you propose them is not for the company, but that you really do it to help the people, and that you will not and that you will not try to recuperate that. So you have no right to failure. You cannot, and we didn't, talking about communication, make big communication. Look how generally is doing great stuff, and generally, and generally, and generally. This is the best way to lose the engagement of your people. So what we did uh, is that we added one principle, Aurelia, which is we are an open net. That word is not for generally only. Since the beginning, we said if any other company in the world want to join that movement, which is called the human safety net, where the generally is not present, and I will give you an anecdote, then employee, and by the way, more than 100 other companies since the beginning joined the movement. So all your employee really believe what you propose them because they come for a dream and they need to see that it's true. And in fact, that movement became their own movement. It's no more the movement of the company. I will give you quickly two examples. When we arrived at the middle of the pandemic at COVID, we had created that word of engagement. So the key you heard, it's really driven by the people. And what happened at the middle of the COVID, obviously all the NGO had to stop their activity. That was the law everywhere in all the country. And then suddenly the employee and the ambassador started to call us. I said, Ivo, I mean, we cannot stop. It was their movement. They say, we don't stop. I say, what can I do? So what we did, we made a call and we called all the NGO we are supporting. And with them, we decided to adapt all the activities and volunteering into digital activities. In 3 weeks, we changed everything, and the movement kept going in a different way. It was their movement because they believe into it. That's one. And the other anecdote is that when another company is joining the movement, the first question I always have in line the head of com of the corporate calling me and say, hey, yeah, we are willing to help pro bono, whatever, volunteering, and that we love what you do, and but where can we put our logo?
Mm.
And then I always have the nice answer, and I say, well, there is no problem. I mean, you can put the logo on the website of the Human Safety Net. You can put it next to the logo of Generali. Then they go. And the day after, they call me back and say, Yves, there is no logo of Generali. And I say, so are you still in the story or not? No, you got it. This is true what we do. And so you see, this is what I call a word. I don't know if it answers your question, but this is how you do it. Yes, it is powered by Generali. You give everything, but it is open to the world because it's really for impact, and we don't want to own it. Otherwise, I have maybe the tendency to say, is it really true what you do?
Thank you. Thank you, Eve, for sharing. And Aurelia says, thanks a lot. We have time for one more question, and I think Sebastian, you'll be able to maybe answer this question as well. So, Sebastian, Soline is asking, how do you address regularly differences between countries? For example, mandatory employment requirements for people with disabilities in France, or diversity/community policies in the United States and Canada?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, and we live in this reality. So I would say, as I said, the decentralized model, it's what help you to be aligned with the local regulatory differences. We have 10,000 people in India, for instance, and in India we have to reach a certain level of community engagement. That's part of the local compliancy. So we have, and that's why the KPI coming from Komeet is very important for them, because it's a proof, for their local compliancy needs. In France, and we are very engaged in many disabled organization. So we have many initiatives around that for our colleagues in France, in the US, and Canada. Last year, or actually this year, in February, when we had the new regulation, new federal regulation around diversity, we were able to align our US initiatives on this new regulation. So that was, I think, very helpful to have a flexible platform like CGI for Good slash Commit. And I think a decentralized model also helps this need to be very flexible and very well aligned with local regulations.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We have about 3 minutes left. So if there's any other quick questions or feedback or reaction for Sebastian and Eve, we're happy to hear. But again, I've got one more question. It says, Eve,
For you,
we have
Eve.
yeah, Eve, we have to be bold in which field in what? I'm not sure.
Not sure I fully understand the question. Can
No, I'm not
you
sure.
be a bit more precise in your question, maybe?
Maybe I think what you were saying as well in terms of being bold means going like full in and all in terms of the in what purpose?
You mean what purpose? You mean what? It's not it's not totally clear. Just to avoid I go in the wrong direction. Uh, in which objective or which what? But I see that he's typing.
Yeah, otherwise what we can maybe put you in touch with Eve after this webinar, and then we can ask questions. Yeah, I think maybe if we put you in touch afterwards, that would be maybe the most important or the best way to do it. But what we remember from both of your talks and both of your testimonies is really to say that there's one story or different stories. There's one, two NGOs or two causes or different causes. Everything is really different and linked. The idea is to be really agile and for the communication to work at a global level as well, which is really important. Both of you, is there like one sentence or one phrase you'd like to share before we close?
Sébastien?
Yeah, so I think you describe Eve very well, the importance of a company commitment. But when we go at the personal level, I think it's the same. When we give, we received a lot.
Brilliant. Yeah, I agree. I really agree.
What I would say is that your company has the power to change the world, and it is not a side activity. If you find a way to make it happen, so it benefit both social and the people who are making happy or happier your people and your corporate, nothing can stop you. So let's go for discovering this win-win approach, which is what we miss in most of the corporate organization today. So that's my end word.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks again to both of you for joining us and for sharing your expertise. Really, thank you. Thank you. And
Thank you, Margot, by the way, for uh, coordinating that so nicely
ask,
to ping pong. I
ask
really
me.
enjoyed, by the way, and I think it's
Yeah,
very nice because you said clear, like Sébastien or myself, we are both trying to approach, and we are in different world, in different kind of sector activity, but we both have the same and ambition, and you discover different ways. So yeah, it was I really enjoyed also
Yeah, me
yeah,
to
too.
exchange.
pleasure.
And thanks everyone for joining. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
being here. And let's go out and change the world. Let's go. Thank you very much. And
Super. Thank you.
speak to you very soon.
Bye
Bye. Thank
bye.
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.